Hello and welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 1. So we're going to be doing some different things with this unit. There might be a little bit more flexibility as far as you being able to watch videos and do the lessons on your own. Being that that would be a choice to do that, you do not have to do that. However, if you are making the choice right now to watch the video and work through the activities on your own, that means it is your responsibility to make sure you are following the directions and doing every activity. If you don't follow those directions and do the activities the way you're supposed to, then you'll lose the privilege of working at your own pace. So, we're going to start with our Unit 3 Lesson 1 notes. You have those in your blue folder that was sent home when you did your pickup a few weeks back. So you need to get those out right now. And once you get those out, I want you to go ahead and look at the first two questions, which says write this in as many different ways as you can, 2 times 5. And then write this as many different ways as you can, 12 divided by 4. There's a little hint at the bottom of the page if you need it. Otherwise, come up with as many different ways to write it. Hit pause right now, and then come back when you're ready to check if you came up with all of them. So 3 different ways you could have written multiplication would be your classic 2 times 5 using the X symbol. Another one you might have learned would be this star looking symbol. And the last one is the one that we're actually going to start changing to in 5th grade, and that's going to be using the dot symbol. Now, we have to be really careful when we use the dot to recognize multiplication. You need to make sure that it's up high enough so it doesn't look like a decimal point. But we use the dot a lot, especially when we're multiplying fractions, which is what we're going to start covering today. We'll also eventually talk about division, and so there's some different ways to write division as well. Obviously, your classic 12 divided by 4. You could have also put 12 divided by 4 this way. And then the last way that you may not have thought of would have been as a fraction, 12 divided by 4 or 12 divided by 4. Remember, fractions are also division. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to start focusing on what it means to multiply by a fraction. So when it says 10 taken 5 times, okay, that's the same thing as doing 10 times 5, which hopefully you guys know is 50. That'd be like if you decided to run 10 miles and you did it 5 whole times. So now you've done that 10 and you've done it 5 times, making it into that 50. What's a little bit different is when you multiply by a fraction, you're not necessarily going to get larger answers. So for example, if I was going to do 10 miles and I was only going to do 1/5 of that, okay, so here's my 10 miles. That's my 10 miles right there. If I'm only going to do 1/5 of it, I'm only going this far. So I'm doing 1/5 of the 10 miles, which means what you're really doing is you're dividing this 10 into 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you multiply by a unit fraction, it's the same thing as dividing by the denominator. Now, this only works if it's a unit fraction, okay? So 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now we can see that these multiplication with fractions is the same thing as division by rewriting it a lot of different ways. So 1/2 of 6 is the same thing as 1/2 times 6. Of is a clue word when we're multiplying fractions that's a multiplication problem. So if we're multiplying 1/2 of 6, that's the same thing as doing 6 divided by 2, which we can rewrite as a fraction, 6 divided by 2, which we know is 3. You can do the same thing on the bottom one. So 1/4 of 20 is the same thing as 1/4 times 20, which is the same thing as 20 divided by 4. Remember, I'm getting my 4 from my denominator. 20 divided by 4 can be rewritten as a fraction, and 20 over 4 is equal to 5. Now, for today, all of your answers will work out perfectly to those whole numbers. What you're going to do to practice this is you're going to work on page 83 in your workbook. Notice these first 4 problems on page 83 in your Sugar Glider workbook look exactly like the first 2 problems on our notes. So if you were going to do 8 taken 4 times, that's the same thing as doing 8 times 4. Notice they ran 8 kilometers 4 times. That would be 32 kilometers, which is the same thing here. You guys are going to finish the rest of those 3 problems. Then at the bottom of the page, you're doing the same practice that we also did in our notes. They have an example right here for you to follow. You also have 2 examples in your notes to follow. You need to rewrite this first as multiplication, then as division, then as a fraction, then as your answer. Once you have finished page 83, then you're going to take a picture of that and post it on the Google Classroom assignment as proof that you did your practice problems. If you had been doing this with me in class, we would just go over it in class and that would be your proof. But because you're doing it on your own, I need to see that you're still doing your practice. So once you finish page 83, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the Flipgrid. There's a link posted on Google Classroom for you to go to this Flipgrid, and you're going to show how to do a bar model for 1/3 of 12. I did a video explaining how to do the bar model using a different problem. You are going to do a bar model just the same, but doing 1/3 of 12. Okay, so watch that video, create your own, and then hit submit. The last thing you're going to do, your final assignment that you'll need to turn in, is going to be on 3-1 homework. So on 3-1 homework, you're not doing the first 7 problems. Don't cross them out because we're going to do them eventually. You're just going to do the bottom 6. So 8 through 13 down at the very bottom. This is in your brand new blue workbook. So first job, do page 83 workbook. Take a picture, turn that in. Then you're going to do a Flipgrid assignment and get that turned in. And then to finish, you'll do these 6 problems for your homework assignment. So since you get to work at your own pace today, if you finish early, just come back and let me know. If I'm busy teaching, just patiently wait until I have a break. If you have any questions, rewatch the video. Otherwise, you're welcome to come back in and work with me.